How do spiritual narratives shape belief? And where does power operate within them? Power is rarely visible where it is most effective. It does not always appear as authority, control, or force. Often it appears as guidance, as wisdom, as influence framed as care. In spiritual contexts, power can become even more subtle, because spirituality speaks the language of meaning, healing, awakening, and transcendence. And wherever meaning is involved, influence follows. This video is not about accusing individuals or institutions. It is about examining how power operates within spiritual narratives. Every narrative shapes perception. Perception shapes belief. The question is not whether spiritual narratives influence people. They always do. The question is, who shapes these narratives? And to what effect? Spiritual movements, teachings, and communities often position themselves as alternatives to dominant systems. But alternatives are not automatically free from power dynamics. Power exists wherever trust exists, and spiritual environments often operate on high levels of trust. People seek guidance. They seek orientation. They seek reassurance. This creates responsibility, because influence in spiritual spaces is rarely transactional. It is relational. When someone speaks with perceived spiritual authority, their words carry weight beyond ordinary opinion. This is not inherently negative, but it requires reflection. Power in spiritual contexts often hides behind language of light, unity, and love. Yet even language of unity can exclude. Even narratives of awakening can define who is awake and who is not. Every definition creates a boundary, and boundaries create hierarchies. Some hierarchies are functional, but when they remain unexamined, they solidify. Spiritual narratives often define what growth looks like, what success looks like, what alignment looks like. These definitions shape identity. If growth is defined narrowly, those who do not fit the definition may feel inadequate. If awakening is defined as certainty, doubt becomes weakness. If spiritual authority is framed as unquestionable, critical inquiry becomes disloyalty. This is how power can become embedded within narratives that appear liberating. It is not the existence of influence that creates risk. It is the absence of transparency. Transparency means acknowledging influence, acknowledging hierarchy, acknowledging that narratives shape behavior. Power becomes problematic when it presents itself as neutral or divinely justified. When authority claims immunity from critique, when influence avoids accountability. Spiritual spaces are not outside society. They mirror it. Cultural patterns of dominance, exclusion, and control can replicate within spiritual communities, sometimes more subtly. This does not invalidate spirituality. It deepens the need for discernment. Spirit Online approaches spiritual narratives as cultural forces, not sacred beyond examination, not immune to critique. Every narrative, spiritual or secular, participates in shaping collective consciousness. When narratives go unexamined, they harden. When they harden, they resist reflection. And when reflection disappears, power becomes invisible. Invisible power is the most effective kind, because it operates without resistance. In modern digital culture, spiritual narratives spread rapidly. Charisma amplifies reach. Emotional intensity accelerates sharing. Certainty attracts followers. But certainty often reduces complexity, and reduction simplifies power structures. When spiritual messages are designed for virality, depth may become secondary to clarity. Clarity is valuable, but oversimplification can distort. The more emotionally charged a message, the less likely it is to invite nuance. Power grows where nuance shrinks. This is why conscious inquiry must include examination of influence, not to undermine trust, but to protect integrity. Integrity requires openness to critique. A spiritual space that cannot tolerate questioning risks replacing liberation with conformity. Questioning is not rebellion, it is responsibility. Power does not disappear when we ignore it. It becomes unaccountable. Consciousness matures when it recognizes influence, including its own. Every person who shares ideas participates in shaping perception. Responsibility increases with reach. Spirit Online exists to explore these tensions, not to accuse, not to expose individuals, but to ask, how do narratives shape belief? How does influence shape identity? And how can spiritual spaces remain reflective rather than rigid? Power is not the enemy of spirituality. Unexamined power is. The goal is not to eliminate influence. It is to illuminate it. Because illumination restores balance, and balance sustains integrity. Spiritual narratives carry potential for growth, healing, and transformation. But transformation without reflection risks becoming repetition. True consciousness includes awareness of influence. It includes willingness to question authority, including spiritual authority. Not to destroy it, but to ensure it remains accountable. Power becomes dangerous when it hides. It becomes constructive when it is acknowledged. And consciousness deepens when it dares to look where influence operates quietly. If these perspectives resonate with you, consider subscribing to this channel. Spirit Online is an independent magazine exploring consciousness, spirituality, and society with clarity and responsibility. You can find more essays, in-depth articles, and ongoing conversations at spiritonline.de. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of a space that values depth over noise.